Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're journeying back in time, more than 4,000 years, to explore the incredible art of the Indus Valley Civilization. We're about to take a tour of a world that left behind these amazing masterpieces, but no words we can actually read.
And that's really the heart of the mystery, isn't it? With the Indus Valley, we don't have historical texts or royal decrees to guide us. So we have to become detectives. The clues? Well, they're hidden in the stunning objects these people created and left behind.
Okay, so before we jump into the art itself, you've got to understand something crucial about the people who made it. The inhabitants of cities like Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, they were absolute master city planners. We're talking sophisticated cities laid out in grid patterns, complete with public baths and drainage systems that were way ahead of their time. This level of organization, it tells you a lot about the society that was creating this art.
So, let's begin our tour. Think of this as our first gallery, where we get to come face-to-face with the people of the Indus Valley, captured forever in stone and bronze.
Now, this guy, he's probably the most iconic figure from the entire civilization. It's a small statue, carved from soapstone, standing less than 7 inches tall. We call him the Priest King because, well, just look at him. He just radiates authority and reverence.
And it's all in the details, right? That shawl with the 3-leaf clover or trefoil pattern draped so carefully over his shoulder, the way his eyes are half closed, like he's deep in meditation. Even the simple headband and the armlet. Every little piece comes together to build this image of someone with real spiritual weight and importance.
And check this out. Next to the Priest King, we have this incredible torso carved from red sandstone. I mean, look at how the shoulders are formed. The slight belly, it feels so lifelike. This piece really shows us that Harappan artists were just fantastic at working in 3 dimensions and capturing the human body with this amazing realism.
But they weren't just amazing with stone. The Harappans were also masters of bronze. And to make their metal sculptures, they used this incredibly complex and advanced method called the lost wax technique. So, how does this work? It's a pretty ingenious process. First, you sculpt exactly what you want out of wax. Then, you cover that wax figure in clay to create a perfect mold. You heat the whole thing up so the wax melts and runs out. That's why it's lost. What you're left with is a hollow clay shape that you can pour molten bronze into. It's the only way to create such detailed metal figures.
Now here's the truly mind-blowing part. This exact technique, which was developed over 4,500 years ago, is still being used today. It's been passed down through thousands of years, a continuous artistic tradition that artists in India still practice. It's just incredible.
And if you want to see just how amazing this technique is, meet the dancing girl from Mohenjo-daro. She's a tiny copper figure, only about 4 inches high, but wow, does she pack a punch. She is just full of life and personality.
But the real story here is her attitude. Just look at that pose. Her right hand is planted firmly on her hip, her left arm is completely covered in bangles, and she's got this confident tilt to her head. She is brimming with energy and expression, a little snapshot of a real person with a real personality from thousands of years ago. All right, let's move on to our next gallery. Because art in the Indus Valley wasn't just for powerful priests or performers, it was woven right into the fabric of everyday life.
And in this part of the collection, you see a really interesting contrast. Compared to that elegant, super refined stone and bronze we just looked at, the art made from terracotta, which is just baked clay, is much, much cruder. The style is simpler, less detailed, but it tells a completely different story. This isn't about powerful individuals, it's about what ordinary people believed and valued.
And they made thousands of these things. The most common figures seem to be a mother goddess, which probably points to a kind of personal household worship. But they also made toy carts with wheels, whistles, and little animal figures. This tells us art wasn't just in big temples. It was in people's homes, it was in the hands of children, it was a part of life itself.
You know, their pottery was just as impressive, and it gives us a real peek into their homes. These weren't just clunky pots. Most of what we find are fine, wheel-made wares in every shape and size you can think of. While plain red pottery was pretty common, they also made this beautiful painted stuff with these complex geometric patterns and animal designs in a glossy black paint. You can just picture these being used and admired every single day.
And get this, the people of the Indus Valley were seriously into fashion. Archaeologists have found tons of jewelry worn by both men and women. We're talking necklaces, armlets, earrings, you name it.
And they were made out of everything from gold and precious stones all the way to bone and baked clay. This was a society that clearly cared about beauty and expressing yourself.
Okay, now we arrive at what might be the most fascinating and mysterious objects from this entire civilization, these miniature masterpieces we call seals.
And I really do mean miniature. But what they lack in size, they more than make up for in number. Archaeologists have found literally thousands of these seals, and most are carved from a soft stone called steatite.
But what in the world were they for? That is the big question. Their true purpose is still hotly debated, but a couple of main theories have really taken hold.
So, it seems these tiny things played a pretty big role. One idea is that they were used for business. You'd press the seal into clay on a package of goods, kind of like a company logo, to show who sent it. The other idea is that they were more personal, maybe worn as a protective amulet, or even used as a kind of ancient ID card. Honestly, it could have been a bit of both.
Each and every seal is a tiny work of art. The standard size was a little 2x2-inch square, and they usually feature these unbelievably realistic carvings of animals, a unicorn-like bull, rhinos, tigers. But the most important feature, the one that holds the biggest secret, is the line of symbols carved into every single one.
And that right there, that is the great, tantalizing puzzle of the Indus Valley Civilization. This beautiful script that appears on thousands of seals is completely undeciphered. We can see that writing everywhere, but we just can't read it. So after this whirlwind tour through a lost world, what's the big takeaway here? What does it all mean?
Well, without their words, their art is their voice, and it speaks volumes. It shows us a society that was highly organized, technologically brilliant, and deeply artistic. And it leaves us with this incredible, lingering question. As long as we can't read their writing, what other secrets are these beautiful objects still waiting to tell us?